Welcome, welcome, welcome to New York's Divine Channel. You can have it all, where we are discussing today cheerleader versus healer and coach, or healer and coach versus a cheerleader. So, this show is for people who are healers and coaches, or people who are receiving healing and coaching from a healer or a coach, or people who are aspiring to be a phenomenal healer and coach. So, it's for everyone, people who are receiving healing and coaching, people who are giving it, people who are aspiring to do it professionally someday. All three of those types of people, this show is for today. So it is called Healer and Coach versus Cheerleader. And the title is really probably pretty telltale or telltale. And I'm going to share with you a quick personal story of my own in order to start up today's show. So, years ago, when I was struggling in my life, and a lot of different categories of my life were not going the way that I would have hoped for them to be going, or the way that I desired or wanted, it was just going really not good at all. Okay. And I was talking to one of my doctors who I really looked for coaching from as well, even though as a medical doctor and a naturopathic doctor, she wasn't allowed to talk about because of the different rules. And she wasn't practicing under naturopathic doctor. She was practicing under a medical doctor. She wasn't allowed to talk about certain things because the American Medical Association, doesn't allow you to talk about psychiatric or psychological things very much. And for me, it was more psychological, emotional, just not feeling, I was feeling really sad because so many things had happened in a short period of time, and I was not having a very good time turning around. And I remember her saying, "Do you go to a therapist? Do you go to somebody?" And I said, "Yes, I do." And she goes, "Okay, well, what happens at those sessions?" She literally sat there and asked me that because we were having a medical appointment. And she said, "So what happens?" And I said, "Well, I talk, I explain things." And the person that I was going to did EMDR. And then when something comes up, then she kind of like does her wave the fingers and then pulls back and forward and then asks me what's coming up next. And then I tell her the next thing. And then she does the same thing, waves her fingers, does the thing, asks me what's coming up next. And she said, "Okay." And then, does she talk to you? Does she give you advice? Does she listen to what's going on in your life and then give you advice on what you should do, and then give you homework, and then have you go do your homework and then show up next week for your next appointment? I said, "No, none of that happens." And she goes, "Okay, well, then I found the problem here. You need a talking therapist, a talking coach therapist, somebody who will tell you what you're doing wrong and guide you in order to hold you accountable for the new changes in your thought patterns, the new changes in your behaviors. And then you have to do your homework and come back and report back." That's what you need. You don't need somebody who's just going to listen to you, because if all you're doing is talking about your problems for 1 hour and they're not actually giving you any advice and any, "Okay, let's do this differently now. Let's try a new plan of behavior, a new plan of thinking patterns," then your life is not going to change, Camille. So my medical doctor had to tell me that. She said, "You're going to the wrong therapist." And I had been going to somebody who had the PhD and all the different wonderful things that you look for. And she said, "Your therapist isn't helping you. They're not talking to you. They're just listening to you. That isn't going to help you change your life." And I was blown away. And I said, "Okay, now I have to go find a new person to help me who's going to give me advice." And so I looked and I looked I didn't find anything easily, but I kept finding I kept being drawn to go for hypnosis. So I went and I decided, if I'm going to pay for this because my finances were really tight, I'm going to get certified to do it, because the teacher said that we would be doing hypnosis on each other during the training. And so we would get all the hypnosis that we needed personally in order to heal our own life. And in the meantime, we would be learning how to do it for others. And she actually advised me that that was going to work better for me. She said, it's better for you to get the training on how to be a hypnotist, a certified consulting hypnotist for other people, and practice on other people while in class receiving hypnosis from the teacher and the other students and working on each other. She said that's the best recipe for really turning your life around and for healing your life, because you'll understand the process of healing by getting trained on how to do it for others. And then by understanding the process, you'll be able to do it for yourself, because all healing is self-healing. And in order to do appropriate self-healing, we have to have a healer, a coach, a teacher, a mentor, a guide us to be able to do it, because we're too emotionally attached and close to the situation when it's our own life, when it's our own self. So once we get really good at the actual healing for other people, we'll actually get really good at healing our own life if we take our own advice. That's the catch. If we take our own advice, if we do what we would have told somebody else. So then what we have to do is put ourselves in the shoes of, if I was my own client, what would I tell my own client? So for those of you who are tuning in today, who are healers and coaches, or those of you who are tuning in today who have been receiving coaching and healing work, ask yourself, and then also those of you who are aspiring to someday be a really fabulous, amazing healer and coach, ask yourself this right now. If you were your own client, what would you advise yourself to do if you were the mentor and the healer and the coach of you? Put a recipe together and get your healer notebook out and put your name at the top as if you're the client in the client space with today's date, and fill out a client profile for yourself and put together the advice on what you would recommend. Actually sit for an hour and have a session with yourself. Come as both people. Come as the healer and the coach, and come as the client. Show up and go ahead and switch hats. Put your hat on as the healer and coach and start the interview. Then put your hat on as the client and answer the questions. Then go and switch the hat back over to healer and coach and say, okay, here's what we're going to do first. And put together a treatment plan. And you may see that it's going to take 4 weeks or 6 weeks, maybe 12 weeks in order to step yourself through it. And you might even put yourself on a 6-month program or a 12-month program. However, you have to put yourself on a program. So that's your homework for those of you who really love showing up for the You Can Have It All TV show, and you really love using this free coaching and training for your own life, your own personal life, your professional life. I'm going to give you that homework for you to do today. And now here's what I'm going to talk about when we say healer and coach versus cheerleader. Okay. If you were here at the beginning of the show, you heard me talking about my medical doctor who sat me down one day because I was really sad and I was asking for help. And she said, do you have a therapist? And I said, yes. And she said, what is going on at those sessions? So I told her that I basically tell her what's going on. And then she does the EMDR and waves her fingers and goes like this, and then says, what is coming up next? And then I tell her the next thing that's emotionally or mentally coming up, and I speak it to her. Then she does this waving thing again at a certain point, and then says, okay, now what's coming up? And we basically do that for almost an hour. And then maybe she puts me on the massage table at the end and does some body work, some craniosacral, and it's Reiki type work, and it's very quiet. There's no talking except at the very end. She'll say, I sense that we released this or that for you. And then all over, goodbye, and sends me home. And I had done that for years and years and years, and it was not working. My life was not changing. It was not getting better. In fact, it was getting worse. And so my medical doctor said, you need to go to a talking therapist of some sort, someone who gives you advice, someone who tells you when you're going down the wrong path, or someone who gives you new ideas, new things you could try in order for your life to get better, some new thinking patterns, a more new way of programming your mind, a new way of behaving. She said, you need someone who talks to you and tells you what to do and guides you and doesn't just sit there and listen. That isn't helping you. Your life isn't getting better, Camille. And I was like, I agree. It is not. In fact, it's probably worse now after 15 years. And I think at the time it was 12 years that we had that conversation. She said, obviously it's not working. Get a new therapist. And I was like, da-da. And this person had a PhD and all kinds of, and she was very sweet. And so I enjoyed her, but it was not giving me the results. So I searched, I prayed, and I was guided to become a certified consulting hypnotist and life coach. And then after I did that, then I went into the neuro linguistics programming, the NLP. And those were the things that healed me. Those were the things that changed my life. And it happened very rapidly. After 12 years of going to a psychotherapist and getting NLP, or not NLP, EMDR work, it was not working at all. And after about 6 months with hypnosis and another 6 months with the NLP, in 1 year, I had it all turned around. So it was like, wow. And it's held strong ever since, which has been at least almost, I think, probably 8 years at this point, 7 or 8 years. And that is a lot to say good about hypnosis and life coaching and neurolinguistics programming. So for those of you who are tuning into my show today, who are excited and want to become a certified consulting hypnotist, I have great news for you. I am launching our course at the Academy of Divine Rich CEO, which is recognized by New York State. We have a trademark and we are all recognized as a Academy of Divine Rich CEO academy that teaches courses for personal development and business and professional development. We are launching our certified consulting hypnosis course to become a certified consulting hypnotist in January of 2024. And we already have people signed up and registered and enrolled in the course. So if you are excited to hear about that, please let me know. I also have another new course called Becoming a Psychic Medium Reader and Healer, a certified psychic medium reader and healer. And so if you are excited about that, that is also starting in January. Please let me know. Just send me an email, Camille@CamilleConti.com, and let me know you are interested. And we will set up a Zoom chat for us to discuss the infinite possibilities for your life, both personally to shift and change your life, and both professionally, as also professionally to shift your personal life. Now, it doesn't mean you have to go into the business of being a certified consulting hypnotist and put that on your business card and your resume. I have a lot of clients as well as colleagues and friends that are certified consulting hypnotists, and some of them do not mention it because they are a dentist or a medical doctor or a chiropractor or a licensed mental health counselor or a licensed massage therapist. And that isn't something that they put on their resume, possibly. Usually the licensed massage therapists do. However, some of them feel like they're using that as how they do their sessions, but not necessarily advertising it for whatever reason. And others are advertising it. It just depends on your business plan, what your soul's divine calling is, what your soul mission is. And we can discuss that too, because I am a business coach. We have a business coaching course called Happy Enriched Divine Business Leadership for healers, coaches, authors, speakers, and inventors. And if you're looking to really scale your business and work like in a workshop setting with other healers, coaches, inventors, speakers, and healers, then you would love this course. We meet on Thursdays at 5 p.m. So we will be meeting tonight. And you will be able to strategically plan how to lay out your business. So for today, when we talk about segueing back to the topic of healer and coach versus cheerleader, here's what makes the true difference between somebody who's a very effective, very successful, productive healer and coach for their clients and one who is not. So if all you're doing is being a cheerleader, just cheering them on, telling them what they want to hear, just giving them all the upgrades and accolades without any corrective suggestions or any new idea homeworks, like, okay, let's spend the next 4 weeks practicing this new thinking pattern, or let's spend the next 90 days practicing this new life skill, this new daily habit. So if we aren't giving our clients homework and telling them, hey, listen, you have got to make a daily habit here, and you're going to have to start doing, and then give them it. It could be, for instance, eating. Maybe all they're doing is smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee and alcohol, and maybe possibly putting a croissant in their mouth once in a while. Well, of course they're falling apart. They have no nutrition. So you have to ask questions. You have to take a full assessment. If you don't go through a full assessment with your client, being a fabulous healer and a coach isn't possible. A cheerleader, yes, but a cheerleader doesn't always get the results, and we can hire our mentor and our guide and our healer and our coach who knows how to help us get results. And we can invest our time, our energy, and our money in working with them, because they're going to give us advice. They're going to give us new ideas to try. They're going to hold us accountable, and they're going to have us praise us when we're doing great, and then remind us when we fell off track and you're going down that path again. Let's pull you around and get you back on track here. Okay, then we'll change our life. Our life will get better. Our life will upgrade, and we'll be doing fabulous. However, if all we have is somebody who's just listening, but not giving any advice, it's not always going to work. I mean, it does work for some people because talk therapy is definitely a thing, but I think we can do that if we have a good friend. I think we can use our talk therapy for exchanging services with a good friend. That's what a girl's day is all about, or that's what going out to lunch once a week is all about, where we exchange stories, or that's what we do with our hairdresser. If you have a friend where you really respect where they're at in their life, and they're doing and having and becoming and being the kind of person that you want to become and be, then you can give each other talk therapy and listen to each other. However, if the people who you're talking to are not where you want to be in your life, then I wouldn't recommend taking any advice from them, because they're probably going to give you the same advice they're giving themselves, which gives them the results that they have with their life. So really look and see if they have at least one or two have they accomplished at least one or two of the things in their own life that you would like to accomplish in your life? So for instance, if they're married, then, okay, if you're trying to figure out how to get married, maybe that friendship communication could be beneficial then, maybe. But if they're single and you're wanting to be married, relationship conversations with them probably aren't going to lead you to a healthy, happy marriage. Okay, so that's because, friendship communication is more for just listening, but you don't want to take any advice. You have to consider the source of what kind of advice you're getting, because of the kind of life that they're living and what their success, accomplishments and achievements have been. So what you can do is you can look for a therapist, a neurolinguistics programming, by the way, if you're a certified neurolinguistics programming practitioner, that actually does make you a therapist. Same with certified consulting hypnotist, but the NLP is the therapy part of it. The hypnosis is the reprogramming part. And I find that they go perfect hand in hand. So if you've already been certified in my Divine Channel NLP Life Coach Practitioner Level 1 course, you are able to go into my certified consulting hypnosis course. And in January, we will be launching it, and you will receive all of the hypnosis that you would ever want. And you will learn how to do it for yourself and others, which means you can actually do your own hypnosis for yourself, self hypnosis. And getting certified and properly trained and being able to practice on each other in a private vortex in the Zoom chat room is an amazing opportunity. Again, I'm going to tell you, my life was struggling horribly so for at least 6 or 7 years in a row before I found hypnosis and NLP. And then I was able to get certified, get trained, start practicing and on my clients. And my clients were doing fabulous within a few months of me starting the hypnosis. I looked at all my clients and they were all doing great. And I began to become jealous. And I was like, what is going on? Everybody is doing way better than me. And guess what I recognized? I wasn't doing my own homework and taking my own advice. So what I was able to do, are these classes able to attend on Zoom? Yes, Anna, our classes are all on Zoom. So we have students from all around the world that come into our classes. And so if you're interested, just send me over an email, Camille@CamilleConti.com, and then we'll set up a session for a discovery call to find out what's best for you for your life right now and your goals and your dreams. Okay, so back to the hypnosis and the NLP for myself. So I had struggled horribly so. And when I finally did enough praying and enough really opening up and listening and getting talked to by my doctor about finding somebody who was new who would talk to me, I finally found this hypnosis, and I found it online. I called and talked to the teacher. I have to tell you, the teacher was really strict. Sometimes how strict she was, I didn't always enjoy, by the way. She was really strict about a lot of things, but you know what? That's what I needed. I needed someone to hold me accountable. And with the strong personality that I am, I had to find someone who had the strong personality that I have or stronger, because I wasn't doing well with that soft. The therapist I had before was very soft and loving and gentle, and she was a nice cheerleader, but she didn't give advice or coaching or hold me accountable. And even if she did ask me to do something, she didn't have a strong accountability and responsibility or personality that held me to the ground. And so I just normally didn't even do it, because it didn't even sound like she was recommending it strongly. Like I think I needed to be hit over the head with a baseball bat at that point in my life back then, 12 years ago. And so this new teacher did. I mean, she was very strict about everything, strict about the payments and making sure I pay on time, strict about the course, making sure I'm on time for class, strict about my homework, making sure my homework was done, strict about how I behaved in class. If I talked too much, she would say, you know, we really need you to stay focused in class. And I felt like I was back in high school. And I didn't so much truly enjoy her as a teacher, but I will tell you this, my life drastically turned around 100%. I improved very quickly. Within 6 months, my life was doing much better. And within 1 year, my life was completely turned around. And had she not been a true healer and coach that gives advice, held me accountable, and was strict with me, I would not be where I'm at right now. If she was just a cheerleader, I would still be flailing in the wind unless I found somebody else. And so I'm telling you this today from my own personal experience and from my experience as a healer and a coach and having huge successes and strides. My private practice was doing really well before I became a certified consulting hypnotist and NLP practitioner. Just as a psychic medium and a divine channel, it was doing well. However, when I added those, then it went skyrocketing. People were getting better much faster. People were changing their life much quicker. They were healing. Everything was turning around. It was magical and mystical. And it's been like that for the last 7 or 8 years. And so that is why I teach how to actually run a private practice or a business with your healing and your coaching, because we have had so many successes come out of it. The students that have succeeded wanted to get the training. And quite frankly, if they get the training to be a certified divine channel NLP life coach, like we have in our academy, or if they get the training to become a certified consulting hypnotist, then they're going to turn their life around faster. So oftentimes I will say, listen, your next step in healing your life and turning your life around and getting it where you want is to actually become a certified divine channel NLP life coach. And yes, you can learn all of that. So you might think, well, I don't know why would I take that? I'm not gifted. First of all, everybody's gifted. Everybody is an empath. Everybody is born a psychic medium and a healer. And it's a matter of practicing and using the muscle. Just like if you go to the gym and you start working out, your muscles get stronger, they start working better, you start looking different, you start feeling better. And pretty soon you are potentially, if you're going daily, you're a bodybuilder, whereas maybe last year you were not. It's called put attention and practice to it. And obviously, if you have a mentor or a guide, somebody who is already achieved some of the things that you would like to achieve, then you're going to learn things the right way instead of just, going to the gym and just playing around with the things, not knowing what you're doing. You would actually need a personal trainer to guide you through the gym, show you how to use the machines properly. And then you're going to have the perfect recipe because you've had somebody who is knowledgeable train you how to use the machines to become, whether you want to become a bodybuilder or just if you want to become like a Pilates person. Usually we're much more feminine looking and more long and smooth looking instead of chunky and meaty. If become a bodybuilder, most women don't want to look like that. Some do, but we want somebody to teach us how to get our body to look the way we want it to look and how to eat the way that we need to eat and how to work out the way we need to work out to get the look we want, right? And so it's the same thing with our personal life or our business life. We have to find a coach that's going to give us the different things we need to do to get our personal life to turn around and to get our business life to turn around. So if any of you have worked with me that are watching the show, you will find that I am also pretty strict. I would not say that I'm as strict as the woman that I worked with because I thought every once in a while she got a little bit overboard. However, I am if I'm guided to be, because you know what? I wasn't getting better until that doctor told me you're going to the wrong therapist. You can't just get listened to and not talked to. You need someone to tell you what to do. And she was right. And I needed that teacher that was strict that said, Camille, you're not focused. You're not working right with your voice. You're not taking this seriously. You're resting on your laurels and you think that you know what you're doing and you haven't perfected this. And I was like, wow, I never had anyone talk to me like that. It was actually because I allowed her to. And thank God, I am so thankful for her, because I didn't allow my mother to tell me how to do things. I blew it off. I thought that she was overboard. I didn't allow different people and teachers to guide me. I didn't listen to them. They didn't get my attention. And at some point, we also have to become teachable. So if we're the student and we're unteachable and we're just blowing off our teacher and getting mad, oh, she sent me a text and told me not to let that happen again because my payment was late. And we get mad about it and go, oh, what a jerk she is. You know what? It's exactly what you need to hear. I had a lady do that to me about 10 years ago. 10 years ago, I had not paid my payment on time. And she sent me text that gave me the same, you need to make sure that I'm a priority. I've made you a priority. Now you make me a priority. And, initially I thought, what a jerk. But I thought, no, she's actually has every right to say that. She just did a whole bunch of work for me and made me a priority. And then I just didn't make her a priority. I paid somebody else instead of her. And so she was calling it what it was. Had she not done that to me, I don't know if I would have turned my life around in my financial arena. And if you're having a problem with finances, you need a coach to tell you when you haven't paid your payment on time to get your act together and don't let it happen again and pay it on time. You also need a coach if you're out there and you're not married and you're not happy and you're single and you're trying to find somebody. You need a coach to say, stop having sex with people before you're married. My God, when I was told that, I thought that's absolutely insane. In this day and age, everybody's having sex on the first date. How in the world are you ever going to expect me to find somebody that would marry me, much less without having intercourse with them before marriage? Well, you'd be surprised. There are still a lot of people out there who like to know that you have decided to take yourself off the market sexually until you find the right one. So even if you haven't done that and you have been like the typical person who, sleeps with someone after one date or two or three or five or six dates or whatever it is, you can still decide to take yourself off the market and say, hey, I am going to date. I will cuddle. I will do foreplay. I will kiss, but I'm waiting for intercourse until I'm married. I mean, for crying out loud, if the kiss is not good enough, if you're not loving the kiss, nothing else is going to be good, by the way. So don't even bother. If that first kiss isn't good, forget it. If you're looking for an amazing, hot sex life with that person, you're not going to get that with that person. If that's one of your main concerns, then stop hanging out with them. If that's what you have to have in order to be happily married, go find somebody else. So you don't really have to go past the kiss. But if you want to, and you want to do some foreplay and some cuddling and some humping with your clothes on, you're going to find out you don't need to be naked and let them inside your body and now be attached to them, because what happens when you're attached to them is now you're actually, as a woman, we become heart linked to the guy who has had his stuff inside of us and touched our cervix. As soon as they touch our cervix, we are heart linked to them. Sadly, they are not heart linked to us. So they can run around and put their stuff inside of a bunch of people and not be heart linked, but it will make us feel like we have to be married and have babies with them. And that is how the woman's body works. So it is true. It doesn't have any religious background in the training I'm giving you right now. It's not because it's anti-religious. It's because it's not good for you to get heart linked to somebody before you even know who they are and want to marry them and have their babies before you even know if you guys can be friends. And if you guys can enjoy each other's company, if you guys can compromise well, if you can have each other's back, and if this person wants the same kind of a lifestyle as you, if this person says, well, I have to live in California, and you're like, well, I have to live in New York, and it's a deal breaker for me. And then they say it's a deal breaker for them. Well, then guess what? You're not going to be getting married. And so why did you have sex with them before finding all this out? It doesn't take too many conversations to really find everything out, but it does take at least a few months to hang out, or at least several weeks of hanging out a lot to really find out if you can compromise, if you have good conflict resolution. Because if you don't have good conflict resolution and you can't compromise, then there isn't going to be a happy marriage. Okay. And if they don't care about you as much as you care about them, then there isn't going to be a happy marriage. And if all you're going to do is date around and try this one after that one, you will be miserable. It is not easy to be happy as a single. And then some people go, well, I'm just going to stay single the rest of my life. And that's good. It's a wonderful thing to try to do. It doesn't necessarily always work because we are very similar to and I shouldn't say this, but we're very similar to pack animals. We like to have our pack. We like to cuddle. Human beings like to cuddle, have their people, have the people that are going to have their back, and you have their back. And so it's important to just set yourself up for success and happiness. Pull back on that. So if your therapist isn't, and that's the life coaching part that comes in. So the life coaching part is the talking part that says, hey, try this, don't do this. The NLP part is the part that helps to reprogram your thinking and your behavior, and also to take and release the deep trauma. So we can release deep trauma and pain with NLP, as well as program ourselves. The hypnosis, after we release the deep trauma and the patterns and programs in our mind with the NLP, then we can actually put the new patterns and programs into our mind and upload all the new ones with hypnosis that help us to easily change our lifestyle patterns and easily become this new version of ourselves without it being so difficult and challenging to do that. So if you're excited about getting some training for your own personal healing and your own turnaround in your life, then shoot me out a text message if you already have my phone number, 716-603-1767, or an email, Camille@CamilleConti.com. If you're excited about not only doing it for your own personal turnaround and healing, but for being able to help others, then again, reach out to me. And so let's get started. It's called the free